महाकाली च लक्ष्मी सरस्वतीया पुरुषार्थप्रदायिनि देवी परा राजराजेश्वरी पराशक्ति उमा कल्याणकरि देवी समष्टिपरा परिवारसुपालिनि व्यष्टि सदा दुर्गा वरदा भयनाशिनि मम तामसहारिणि पालय माम् सदा स्वार्थस्य सिद्धित्वया कृपया परिपूर्णपरार्थप्रसादकरि मनमोहिनि कामिनि लादकरि दुरदृष्टविनाशिनि भाग्यमये इहलौकिकज्ञानप्रदायिनि मा परलौकिकविद्याप्रदर्शिनि मा श्रुतिदेवी सरस्वती वेदमयी वरदे वरं देहि मे मोक्षप्रदे जय हे शिवशक्तिमयी जय हे शुभलक्ष्मीमयी जय हे श्रुतिसारमयी जय हे जगदात्ममयी जय हे शिवशक्तिमयी जय हे शुभलक्ष्मीमयी जय हे श्रुतिसारमयी जय हे जगदात्ममयी।
Hari Om. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce Swamini Vimalananda. For those of us who have attended the Divya Shakti retreat back in October 2016, Swamini Ji does not need an introduction because we remember her very well from our wonderful memories of that retreat. For those who do not know Swamini Ji, there are so many interesting things to share about her. She is the author of Why Do We?, this highly popular book which explains why do we light a lamp, why do we have a prayer room, why do we do namaste, and many other why do we about Hindu culture. Swamini Ji has also authored other books on Advaita Vedanta, but other than being a best-selling author, she can be introduced in many other ways. She is a former architect from the JJ School of Arts in Mumbai. She has conducted several Jnana Yajnas in English, Hindi and Gujarati, meaning she is adept in many languages. And most importantly, for us CMWRC members, she is our own Swami Dhirananda Ji's batchmate. They studied together under Gurudev in Sandipani. Swamini Ji's style of conducting Vedanta classes is simple and humorous. She makes a complex topic like Vedanta very easily understandable for us. But her humor is very focused. It makes us think, how am I leading my life today? Do I want to change my life? How can I make that change? Swamini Ji, welcome to our family Navaratri retreat. We are really looking forward to listening to you. Hari Om.
देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु दुर्गारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om and Namaskar to all the Devis who are part of this great Devi retreat, a different type of a retreat, an online Devi retreat. I remember very well the wonderful time I had with all of you when I attended, I was part of the Devi retreat in the US, and the response was so beautiful that when Deepa asked me if I would be willing to have this talk, I readily agreed. Even though I can't see all of you, I can't meet you directly, but I know I can feel your presence within me. Thank you for having me. This is a very, very beautiful Navaratri Parva. In our country, in India, we celebrate family functions. They are called samskaras, like a birthday is there, or a namakarana is there, Upanayanam ceremony. It's a celebration of a family. But there are certain type of celebrations which are a society celebrations. Navaratri is one such celebration, where the society comes together. Everyone comes together for the celebration. We have national day celebrations like the Independence Day, etc. We also have celebrations in India. We are a Utsava Premi country on the whole. We have hundreds of festivals and celebrations. We always wait for a day to celebrate. And you see, this is not just Indians. It's Indians in America and people all over the world. We love to celebrate. So, besides these national celebrations, we have for God, like Ishvara, like the avatars of God, or this, like we have specifically for Krishna, we have Krishna Janmashtami, we have Shivaratri, and we have Navaratri. Then we even have for deities, like Naga Panchami. These are very specific for Naga Devata, etc. So different types of celebrations are there. Navaratri is a parva. Navaratri, there are actually 3 Navaratris. The Navaratri that comes now, then there is the Chaitra Navaratri, which is also celebrated, and there is another one called Gupta Navaratri, which comes sometime in January. January, beginning Feb, maximum that time. So, Navaratri is a 9 days celebration. 9 nights celebration. Navaratri. Now, why Ratri? If you see, we have a lot of celebrations of gods which are in the night. Shivaratri, again Ratri. Krishna Janmashtami, Ratri. Navaratri. So, we have a lot of celebrations which happen at night. Interesting, isn't it? Now, let's talk about the night. Night is dark. Darkness is different from black, okay? Black is a color. Darkness is the absence of light. Now what happens when darkness is there? Basically, all dualities end. We can't see differences. Everything is the same. It is one. No differences at all. This is exactly what celebrations are meant to do. End all differences. End all particularities. and all specifics and see that one underlying same truth everywhere. Navaratri. So therefore Ratri. There's another very beautiful thing about the black color. The black color absorbs all colors within it. Night is the time when all our mind, our senses, everything gets absorbed into one homogeneous experience. All our experience in the daytime are different. Our dreams are different. We don't have the same dreams. We don't have the same experience in the daytime. Even now, as you are looking at me, you're watching me, still everyone who is watching me, your experience is going to be different. However, for everyone, it can be a king, it can be a pauper, it can be great, powerful person, beauty, it doesn't matter what continent and what place, everyone's sleep experience is the same. All dualities, all particularities, all differences, all superior, inferior, nothing. Everyone, it's a great equalizer. I think coronavirus is also like that. Great equalizer, it doesn't matter. You can be the most powerful person in the country, in the world. You can be a small ordinary man on the road, you can get it. So, Navaratri, so Ratri is that. We all know that light shines best in the night. You know, big background, if you have background which is dark, anything which shines comes up. Beautiful, it shines brighter. So therefore, this festivity, these thoughts in our hearts, in this silent, dark background, become more lighted, great, and therefore, these at night also, if you see, experiences in a way become very different. So what you experience in the daytime, the same type of a thing if you experience at night, because on the whole, everything else is more quiet. And at that time, your thoughts are more intense. They become brighter. It's a great time. So Navaratri, 9 nights, you keep awake. Again, Navaratri, 9. 9 is a Purna Sankhya. Complete. Multiples of 9, add them again, you'll again get 9. 9 2s are 18, 1 plus 8. 27, 2 plus 7. 63, 6 plus 3. You will keep getting 9 again and again and again. It's a Purna Sankhya. It's a complete number. Not only that. Nava means new. Nava. Nitya Nutana. Anything which is ever new, ever, and that which is full and complete is ever new. It's beautiful. So we have Nava Ratri. Okay. Now, this is a celebration specifically for Devi. So we have to understand a little bit about the Devi concept in our culture before I get to talking on Shri Mata Durga. Now, first of all, a very, very important principle of Vedanta. Most of you are all familiar with Vedanta, you've been studying in classes, etc. We say there is Shiva, Parabrahma, Paramatma. Ekameva Advitiya Brahma, one truth without a second. In that truth, there is no otherness at all. There's no question of anything, no Maya, nothing. However, for creating this world, that same Brahma Tattva wields its Maya Shakti, its inscrutable, potential, infinite power, ununderstandable to a human mind. That Shakti, when it wields, it is called Ishvara. That same Shiva is called Ishvara. Same Shiva. Now, what happens is, this is a very different type of a notion that all of us have. They'll say, I am a Shakti Upasaka, as though you can separate Shakti from Shiva. Or someone says, no, I am a Shiva Upasaka, as though you can separate Shiva from Shakti. Can you separate a poet from his poetry? The poet inherently has poetry. The painter inherently has the power of painting. They are one. express the poetry outside, but if you take out the poetry from the poet, it is not called a poet. Simple. Similarly, the Shakti of Shiva, if you take that Shakti out, he is no more Ishvara. Ishvara is called Ishvara only Shakti Sahita. With Shakti, he is Shiva. So this distinction that we make somewhere in our head is ridiculous. Then the other thing, some very common misunderstanding that all of us seem to have, I don't know from where, we think Shakti is a female. God alone knows where. Is electricity power female? Is power female? How can you say it is female? We will talk about that a little later, because these are all common misunderstandings that we have. You know, as though Shiva is male, Shakti is female, Shiva Shakti, male, female. Hare Rama, it is so fixed in our head, and especially after all, we are Vedanta students, and after being Vedanta students, we still say Shiva is male, Shakti is female, Hare Rama. Shakti is Shakti. Is the inherent, the inscrutable, the indestructible, the infinite power of the Lord is called Shakti. Now, having understood this, I can't resist telling you a lovely story. The great saint, I think it was Yagyavakya, no, I think it was Agastya, went once to Shiva. Parvati ji was sitting with Shiva a little far away. And when he came, he did pradakshina only of Shiva. Parvati got angry. He says, I am sitting right here and he is doing only pradakshina of Shiva. He says, why did you do that? He says, I believe in Shiva and I will do pradakshina of Shiva. So Parvati ji came and sat next to Shiva. Agastya Rishi did one more circle. He made a small, took a form of a bird and went in between the two wings. He did a pradakshina. Parvati got mad. He says, what? Can't you see I am there? He said, who are you? I don't know you. You don't know I am Patni of Shiva. Can't you see I'm sitting there? Who else dares to sit right there? He says, I only recognize Shiva. So Parvati thought, okay, she sat on the lap of Shiva. Ab kya? Batao. To show her position, you know what I am. And what happened? Our Rishi, he took a smaller form still and went between like that and did pradakshina. You can imagine Parvati's anger. Can't you see I'm sitting on this lap? Can't you see my position? Who I am? I only recognize Shiva. Then she said, okay, Ardhangini. She became the half heart of Shiva. He says, now, and that Rishi must be Mahapurusha. They are Mahapurushas anyway. He bored a hole, like you have, like a gunshot, like, yeah, he bored a hole inside, and only that Shiva half he did pradakshina. Rishi also Mahapurusha. And Parvati said, what more proof you have about my power? I am half of Shiva. He says, I only recognize Shiva. She got so angry, she cursed him. And you will becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. Now you will become weaker and weaker. Without Shakti, you see what's your condition. I curse you. You will become all lean and weak and all that. And poor Rishi became. Then Shiva, out of sheer compassion, said, why do you do this? He is a good devotee of mine. Why? Look at what he is doing. He says, my dear, instead and all, why? You could have only said, I am Shiva. If you had said that, he would have happily done your pradakshina. Why do you want a separate entity for yourself? You are me. I am you. We are one. Why don't you understand that? Parvati ji understood this and she said, please forgive me. He said, now you please do something about that poor devotee of mine whom you've made all lean and all. He gave him an extra leg, so he stands on 3 legs. So if you go into a South Indian temple, you'll find a rishi with 3 legs. You remember it's this story. This is the rishi that is there. He said, okay, one more extra leg, because he became so weak he couldn't stand at all. So he was given an extra leg. So we have understood that Shiva and Shakti are one. Then we have the same Ishvara, with respect to his creative power, becomes Brahma and Saraswati. With respect to the sustaining power, becomes Vishnu and Lakshmi. And with respect to the destruction power, becomes Mahesha and Parvati. Now in our culture, when we say this again, remember the same concept. There is no difference between Vishnu and Lakshmi. There is no difference between, because it's that one power with respect to creation, sustenance and destruction. So therefore, just as Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh are one, as is shown in Dattatreya, similarly Lakshmi, Durga and Saraswati are also one. They are that same Shakti, not different at all. Yes. However, with respect to a particular aspect of God, we worship her in a particular form. That's about it. Then we find that, okay, the fact is this entire creation is made of is a complement of the yin and the yang. Remember, there are always 2 aspects in this, and this yin and yang that is there, which completes this entire creation, is beautifully represented by the male and the female, which are complementary aspects of personality. Remember, even men have a feminine aspect, women have a masculine aspect. We are all made up of, our genes, as we all know, has both these aspects, and we are all made up of this. So in life, along with the male dominant qualities, there has to be the complementary female qualities as well to make a complete whole. There must be the delicacy, the finer this, along with the assertive and the authoritative. Both these aspects are important. And it is not that only males show this or females show that, no. Wherever you see these qualities, let us say an assertive quality, it is the male quality which is dominating. And it happens in all of us. Even women, they display this assertive quality. So when they display this assertive quality, it is the masculine quality which they are displaying, which is nothing wrong. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't, please don't even ever feel that it is anything wrong to express our assertive qualities. They are beautiful qualities. They're dynamic. The power of the sheer physical strength or whatever it is beautiful as much as delicacy and fineness and softness and gentleness and all things are also beautiful. Strength and all that is extremely worshipful, both in females and in males. So there is no need for either to feel insecure or anything of that sort, because it's a beautiful amalgamation or a beautiful complementary of both these beautiful qualities. Having said this, there are times, like we have a Mother's Day, a celebration of, we have Father's Day, all these concepts are very much there now, even in the West. In India, we had all these relations, all these aspects, very beautiful, because many times, we have this thing many times, Indians and Indian culture and Indian religion and Indian spirituality and the Hindu, this and all as male, God. No. In fact, how much we have Devi worship, I don't think anywhere else in the world has. So, when we are worshipping in Navaratri, during Navaratri, we are worshipping Ishwari. When we talk of Ishwari, for example, we have a Devi Bhagavatam. In Devi Bhagavatam, etc., Devi is considered as Ishwara and Shiva Brahma, Vishnu are considered as devatas. They also do namaskar to her because she is Ishwari, she is Jagat Janani, she is the creator, she is Brahma, she is Vishnu, she is everything. She is Brahman itself expressing as, Devi. So this is the way we think of Devi during the Navaratri time. Now, we have the various forms of the Devi. And when we talk of Shakti, this Devi has 3 powers: Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. We all know, I don't want to elaborate on that. Then she also has these beautiful powers, the 3 guna, the power of the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. The entire creation is only, and she has the 5 elements with which she creates. Entire variation, whether it is of the Devatas, of the things and beings and Jada, Chaitanya, the objects and beings, everything is a permutation and combination of the 5 elements and the 3 gunas. And this Shakti, which intervenes itself in and through, shows, expresses, manifests through these different objects and beings. Now, Ishwari has 5 beautiful powers which are explained in the Lalita Sahasranam also. Srishtikartri Brahmarupa, Goptri Govindarupini, Samharini Rudrarupa, Tirodhana Karishwari, Sadashivanugrahanai, Panchakritya Parayana. These 5 powers. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Srishtikartri Brahmarupa, Goptri Govindarupini. Then Samharini Rudrarupa. Then one is called Nirodha and Anugraha. Anugraha and Nirodha. The power to bless. Please understand, many times when people come to us, please bless us, and I feel like, I don't know what to do or what to say. Because if I say no, then they will feel hurt. What is this? But I tell you, the power of blessing is only with the Lord and no other people. Remember that. No one else in the world can bless except God. We can only give good wishes. But this power of blessing is there only and only with the God, with the Lord. Anugraha and Nigraha. He can do Anugraha. All the Devatas, any other powers, he can control them. He can destroy them. So many other powers the Lord has given to others, but these 5 powers he has kept with himself. So no one in the whole creation can become, like a take over creation. Like how you have governments can take over and all that, revolutions can happen. But no one can do it because these powers are there only and only with the Lord. So here it is represented as the Shakti. Now, we talked about Ma Durga. As Durga also, she has this. So, during Navaratri, Durga is worshipped as Navadurga. I think all of you who are Durga Shakti Upasakas may have heard this particular shloka or have heard about these Navadurgas 9 forms. It's a very beautiful thing, a little bit of insight I'd like to give you this. See, Prathamam Shailaputrim cha, Dvitiyam Brahmacharini, Tritiyam Chandragandeti, Pushmandeti Chaturthakam, Panchamam Skandamateti, Shashtam Kadyayaniti cha, Navamam Siddhidatri cha, Navadurga Prakirtita. These are the 9 forms of Durga which are worshipped. Now, as we say in India many times, that a girl, a woman, in India is worshipped right from the time she's born till the time she dies. She has a role to play and she's worshipped. This is explained very, very beautifully in this Nava-Durga concept. Prathamam Shailaputrim cha. When the child is born, she was born to Himalaya, Himavan and Maina. Himalaya represents steady, the mountains which are really rock steady in life. They reach peaks, highest of peaks. Cool head, Hima, head is cool, very strong. And my na, no my, no my na nahi hai. Usme mamta nahi hai, my, no. Such a person gives, these two give birth to Shailaputri. So as a child, a girl child, oh how we love children. Whether male or female, we just love kids. So she is very loved by everyone. As a child, Shailaputri Prathamam. Second, Brahmacharini. Brahmacharini, school going. Brahmachari ashram. You go to school, so that time she studies and shows, and that time she's called Anuttama. There can be no one more brilliant than, you see in the world, in the whole world, the way the women, they shine, in their academics or in any field, if you see, studies and all that. I'm not just talking about women. I'm saying this is a Shakti, this is a Vidya Shakti. Brahmacharini, she observes austerity, focus, discipline, and collects all the knowledge in the world. So she is worshipped at that time, Brahmacharini. Then what happens? She comes of age. And then what is the next role she takes? Chandraghanta. And she marries. Now please, that doesn't mean that she doesn't work, doesn't earn. That role is, no. That role is very much there. Chandraghanta. And there it is said, with the description of that Ma as she is Chandraghanta is said, what does she do? She's saying she is Prabhararudhaha. She becomes the master of the house, master of the situation. So it is not that only in the house she is this, but Pravara. Pravara means efficient, very Pravara, quick in the doing of her things. So Prabhararudhaha, so Chandraghanteti, and then Ushmandaha, when she becomes pregnant. There also she is worshipped. You know how many this are done just to worship that mother who is who is pregnant. She is considered as a very, very holy person at that time as well. And then what happened? Skanda Mata. She gives birth as a mother. Oh. In our country, everything is mother. Mother India, rivers are mother, everyone is mother, Devi only, isn't it? Yeah. So mother figure is always a very Amba, Ambika, everyone Amba only. Amma, everyone is called Amma. Any small age children are also called Ammas. It's so interesting. So Skanda Mata, as a Mata, she is of course worshipped. And then what you have? Katyayani. Katyayani is when, what happens at that point of time? She's become elder. She's an elder person now. She's like this. And then comes a very interesting. Kala Ratri is menopause. You know what? That time she becomes chanchal, moody, this, that. Everyone knows what happens. Kala Ratri, see, all these this. And she's worshipful that time also, remember. And then what happened? Mahagauri. Mahagauri is what? She's really, at that time they say Mahagauri Shvetavarni. Why? Because she becomes peaceful, quiet. All those, there's no more hormones kicking here, there. She's settled in life, she's got everything in order. Her mind becomes very peaceful, very strong in her own beautiful way. And then the last one is Siddhidatri. Siddhidatri, what? She is now at the time of going. So what happens? Siddhi, whatever you ask her, she gives you. She is willing to, she can accomplish anything. She is willing to give anything. She will give you Siddhi. She herself is a Siddhi in her own this. So her entire life, this is the Navadurga that is worshipped during the 9 days of Navaratri. Couple of stories that I would love to tell you, or a couple of significance of that Durga and all I would like to tell you. You see, Ma Durga has many hands. If you know, all of us know, women are very good at multitasking. Accomplishing lots of things all together, even at the same time. Listen to the phone, do instructions, think of this, do something right. They're very good at it. Multitasking is part of their business. And more hands means more things can be achieved. She has many weapons. Many weapons means what? Many tools to achieve what she wants to achieve. She can be very soft, have a lotus with her. She can be very harsh. She has a parshu and anything. She can just take up any arms and accomplish what she wants to. Now look at the contradictions again in her. It is so beautiful. I love it. That same Ma becomes Tripura Sundari. Aha. And then Kali Karali. She can become the most terrible. She shows that form of her and destroys anything that comes in her way. The worst asura, the worst of bad qualities in us, she can destroy. And she can, same time, full of beauty and kindness and saumya and, delicate and very beautiful. She wears a, Mundamala. And then she can wear all Muktamala. Such beautiful this. You see these completely contrasting. I think all of us display all these, right? People around, at least our family has seen both our group. All of our Karali and our Soumya, sweet, nice, this, that. And anyone says, no, this person is only like that. I said, you should ask the spouse. The spouse is the only one who knows the person inside out. Everyone else can say whatever they want to say. The spouse knows exactly. For males, females, both the same thing is there. They will know exactly the nature of that person. You're saying, I have never seen that person shout. Says, you come home sometime. Or I will record in front of you and not be there. So therefore, we all know that we all have these different aspects of our life also. But here, the beauty of this is that all of these are done for a good cause. She does not show her Karali or a terrible form for the heck of it. Not because she didn't get something or but because of the welfare of everyone. There is, again, this wonderful concept of Ma Durga, which is, as Parvati, let us say, as Daksha Kanya. Daksha means what? Very efficient. She's a Daksha Kanya, remember. She's very efficient in whatever she does. Now, what happened? I love the story. All of you know the story, but still I'll tell you. There's a Bhasmasura story. See how good she is, even as a wife or as a, our Bhagavan Shiva, he is Ashutosh. He just gives boons to people and gets himself into trouble and everyone else into trouble as well. So Bhasmasura came and all that, and he did lot of tapas and all that. Bhagavan was very happy. He says, Tatastu, tell me what you want. Ask for a boon. And our guy says that I will, whoever's head I put my hand, that person will die. So, and Bhagavan Shiva said, Tathastu. That Bhasmasura, can you imagine the arrogance of the guy? He said, let me try out whether it works. So let me try it on Shiva. So Shiva ran for his life. It's a big joke. Shiva ran for his life and Parvati ji was there. Parvati ji understood the problem. She appeared in her beautiful form. And the minute Bhasmasura saw her, he says, she is so beautiful, I want to marry you. So she said, yes, I don't mind marrying you. I like you, I will marry you, but my husband is there now. He's one thing about him I just love. He dances so well. If you can dance like him now, I definitely will marry you. Now when you're in love, you'll do anything, right? Now, so what happened? He says, I will learn to dance. I will learn to dance. So Parvati ji said, why do you want to go here and there? I will teach you dancing. What? You're going to teach me to dance? Yes, I will teach you to dance. Great, I have a teacher in her. Someone I love is going to teach me to dance. Fantastic. He says, I'm all yours. Teach me. So Parvati says, okay, fine. Whatever I do, you have to repeat. Okay. So dha, din, din, dha, din, din, da, din, din, da. And what happened? Bhasmasura. So what I'm saying is that this is the Saha Dharmacharini. Shakti as there is in our own life also, we must have Dharma as our Sahacharini. Durga must become our Sahacharini, Dharmacharini. It's not just for as a woman or this, it's a spouse. Someone in our own life must become what? Support us in our Dharma. As we are walking the path, we make mistakes. But if we have a spouse who can help us, who can be with us, who can support us, what will happen? We are safe. We know that we can walk without a problem. Because here is someone who's going to hold my hand, who's going to compliment me, correct me, or fill in the gaps, so to speak. Not only that, see, there is another very beautiful story of Parvati. You know, she once wanted, saying, I'm staying in this Kailash for too long and all, that it's too cold. I want a summer house. So they decided to have a summer house in Sri Lanka. They made a beautiful house and everything, and they wanted to do the Graha Pravesha. So to do the proper priest must be there to do the Graha Pravesha, etc. So then they said, in that much time only I think Ravana had come there. Because Ravana used to keep going to Kailash, and he was a great bhakta of Shiva, so he went there. And Ravana told, Shivji said, oh, he is a very good Brahmana, he knows all the Vedas, he knows all the rituals, he is nothing like it, he will do. He also said, of course, my privilege to do something for you. Wonderful, I will do it. So the whole puja was over, everything was over. Then what? After the ceremony was over, it is the duty of the Yajman to ask the priest. No, they give the dakshina. And when they give the dakshina, they must ask, are you happy? Are you satisfied? This is what is the custom. You should ask. So when Shiva gives dakshina, you can imagine what he gave so much to. And he asked, are you satisfied? Now you think someone like Ravan will ever be satisfied? The guy is not doing that. He says, no, I'm not satisfied. You know what happened? He looked at Parvati. He was about to say, I want Parvati. Can you imagine that guy? And Shiva being Shiva would have said, Tathastu. Knowing that, immediately she said, I don't want this house, I don't want it. Let's go back to Kailash. We'll stay there. We don't want no summer, no wind, no. I just want, let's go there back again. So this is another wonderful thing, that in our life, we all desire so many things. We have the power to desire so many things. Sometimes what we desire is not that great for us. We should have that what? Ability to what? Give up all the wrong desires that we have. When we find that it's not right, it's not good. I mean, these are all the lessons we learn from Parvati, and there are many, many stories. Another very, very favorite story of mine is the Rakta Bija story. There was this terrible monster called Rakta Bij, and he had the power that every drop of his, the Devi came in front of him and kept on shooting arrows. But what used to happen, every drop of blood that fell on the ground became another Rakta Bij. And with the same power as the original Rakta Bij. And it went on. And he was just not getting conquered because, every time his blood came out and we had so many Rakta Bij. So, then Devi thought of it, and before the blood could fall on the ground, she licked all the blood. And now this is what happens to us also. From one ahankara, how many other ahankaras are there? Think of it. One ahankara. From that comes another. Supposing you have an ahankara of money. It's not just money that it will have. It will have so many other small, little, and sometimes bigger, sometimes as strong. So many ahankaras. That one ahankara gives rise to so many different forms of identities and Ahankara, it just goes on. There's no end to it. It is Ma Durga, that knowledge which can remove, that wash off, that lick away, take away, till you come to that original Ahankara. See, all our different identities have to die. And the original Ahankara has to be destroyed for true realization to happen. Till the original Ahankara goes away, it will keep on taking different form. Rupodbhavo, Rupatatik Pratishtaha, Rupashano, Dhuta Gruhita Rupaha, Swayam Virupaha, Swavichara Kale, Dhavati Esha Ahankara. It is said it will take so many different forms. It eats all the different forms and it remains with the different forms as Ahankara. But only on Vichara, only with knowledge. When the original Ahankara goes away, all of them also get completely destroyed. This is a very beautiful story of Raktabija. If you read Durga's Saptashati, there are beautiful stories in fact. Now one last aspect I will say and we will end. See what happens in one of the, when I think it is, Mahishasura, the Asura Mahishasura was there. And at that time, what happened? Devi, all the different devatas approached Devi and said, please, we are being troubled by him, do something. Each of the devatas gave their power to Devi. They gave alms, they gave different things which they had with them. Brahmaji gave his kamandal, it is said like that. And a form of Devi was formed through these powers that were given by the different devatas. It was all concentrated and a Devi form came into existence. Okay? And that Devi, which had the powers of all the 33 crore devatas, fought with Mahishasura and became great Mahishasura Mardini, destroyed. This is one thing, where all this comes together into one. You know? Then, in the story of the Shumbha Nishumbha, there's a very interesting story. That one Devi takes different forms and becomes many different forms of Devis which go and fight. Now see the difference? What happened here? Many forms makes one, and here what? One makes one in many and many in one. This is Vedanta. This is what Vedanta tells you. What? There is this one truth in many forms, which manifests as many. And then what happens? This many, you see that one in all the many. This is what is there. The same thing is said in the Bhagavad Gita. There is Vibhuti Yoga and Vishwarupa Darshana. That one, everything is seen in that one. And in Vibhuti, that one is seen in many. This is called Vibhuti Yoga, Vishwarupa Darshana. This is Vedantic significance. I have not even touched on a little aspect of Ma Durga. I know all of you will study or read, think more about this, and may Ma Durga bless all of us, especially in this very difficult times. I'm telling you, Ma Durga has a very great role to play at this time. Because there's so much of Durgati happening outside. So the one who removes all Durgati and so much of, doshas, etc., that is happening. And may, it is said that 4 people keep awake at night. In the Navratri time, 4 people. Not Navratri time, any time, at night. One who is a rogi, one who has got lots of diseases, cannot sleep at night. Then the bhogi, and for the rogi, the night is very long, it doesn't end. He waits for the daytime to come because the roga is troubling. The other is a bhogi. Bhogi, all his time goes in bhoga and the night goes very quickly for him. The other is a yogi who keeps awake and alert, meditates through the night. And of course, one is the Jnani, for whom the whole world, is awakened. That is said in the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, Yanisha Sarvabhuteshu. You know, like one for whom the entire waking world, where all are awake, he sleeps, means he's dead to the waking, the so-called illusory world that normal people see, and he's awakened to his own self. That is what it's saying. For him, night is day and day is night. So may you have a yogi's beautiful night. May your Navratri and the entire year be wonderful. My prostrations to Ma Durga and my prostrations to all the Shakti in each one of you. May all of us be blessed. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om and Namaste. I'm open to any questions. Thank you very much. Love you all. Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone. Volume.
Hari Om. Pranam Swami Amma.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
You have to be a little louder. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear you.
Hari Om, Amma, pranams.
Ah, yes.
Shuchi, your volume is still very low. See if you can increase it.
Is this better? No?
Shuchi, you want me to take the Q&A? I can do that since Amma is here.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
I can do that. Shashi, if you want to just switch to. Hari Om, pranams Amma. Thank you so much.
Hari Om. Yes, I am sorry that I had to send a pre-recorded talk of mine, but now I'm very much here. And Hari Om, and I'm really so happy to see all of you. Actually, I feel nice that I can see all of you. Hari Om.
Thank you so much for joining us. We know it's really, really early for you this in the morning. Wish you very happy Navratri, Amma.
Yes, yes, yes. It's a beautiful time right now.
So, Swami Amma, the audience is sending in questions via chat. So I will be just reading the questions to you. If you could answer them, that would be great.
No problem. Please go ahead.
So the first question is, Swamini Amma, thank you so much for the story of Rakta Bija and how it signifies that from one ahankara, many ahankaras are born. And getting rid of the ahankara, as you've said, is the key to realizing the self. Can you please give us some practical tips for practicing this attitude in real life?
Sadgurudev Namaha. You know, ahankara can be translated for our understanding, simple understanding. Is my volume okay?
Yes,
Wonderful.
we can hear you very well.
Okay, wonderful. So ahankara for our practical understanding is identities. Like we all have our identities, like I'm Swamini and etc., etc. And each of us has a multiple identity that we have, you know, like with respect to a husband, I'm a wife, with respect to a daughter, I'm a mother, etc. So we have many, many identities. So these ahankaras take on these different identities, actually. It is the roles that we play. So whenever we are playing the various roles that we play, we have to understand that these are roles. This is one of the best way to minimize the ahankara. Understanding that these are roles. Understanding that this is only a taken on thing, not an actual real thing. It's like an actor who has to play various roles, right? So when you have to play various roles, you know, even though you have, when you actually do a very good acting, you become, like they say, no, you get into the dress of the character. Agreed, you get in the dress of the character, but you don't become the character. You still get into only the dress of the character, right? Similarly, when I'm playing various roles, I must be very, very conscious that this is a role. End of the day, it's a role. And I'm changing these roles often. It is not only that, okay, when I'm with someone, like, let's say when I'm with a spouse, so I'm playing that role of a spouse. But even within that role of a spouse, I'm changing my roles at different times. I don't react and interact with my spouse the same way every day. I playing different roles even with my spouse. All of you know, sometimes you have mothered your spouse. Is it true or not? Like, okay, come on, like you say, come on, you know the person is acting childish. So at that time, what do? You act the mother. Even in the role of a spouse, you're doing still an acting of a mother. So you are actually playing these roles, but most often we forget that they're roles. More often than not, they become serious, actual things. So this gives a lot of boost to the ahankara. Ahankara says, that's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to think that I'm the real guy. I am the person. I am this. So that's why it said the Raktabij story that this same ahankara takes different forms. This is exactly what it means. That it takes, and then what happens? Each of these roles is considered real. Now you can imagine in one role, you have so many multiple roles and each one is real. Now, how many real roles you have? So ahankara gets boosted. That's why Ramana Maharshi says beautifully, Rupodbhava Rupatati Pratishtaha. Rupa Shano Dhuta Druhita Rupa. Swayam Virupaha. Ahankara itself has no rupa. This is what we have to understand. For example, this I notion, I am, an individuality. Is it a man or a woman? It's neither a man nor a woman. It identifies with a man's body and says, I'm a man. Identifies with a woman's body and says, I'm a woman. Is it true or not? So therefore, this ahankara, swayam virupaha, it has no form of its own. It has no basis to stand. It's got nothing. It only takes something or the other and then says, I am. So understand. So to take out that I am is very difficult just like that. You can't. So the best way to do is understand that these different identities are roles. So that itself makes that ahankara say, okay, look, I know. You've just taken on this. Now keep quiet. I know you're not this. So you will take the next role and all that. So, which is fine because as we know, ahankara is sukshma. The grossest form of ahankara is pride. I am the best. There's no one like me. And inside feeling superiority and all of that. That is the grosser form of ahankara, which also we all have. So the grosser form of ahankara, we have to consciously take it out. And when one pride goes, now the other is just waiting. And one of the worst prides, simple prides now are quite okay. I am the rich, I am the powerful, I am the educated, these are all easy to get out of because you just see someone with more of that and then you say, okay, fine, I'm not that. It's very simple. But that I have no pride now is the greatest pride because that's difficult to take out. I am no pride at all. Hare Rama. Now this is big problem, big time problem. Not only that type of others, like I am a bhakta. I have so much of devotion. My life is actually, these are actual prides. These are the subtle ones which are difficult to take out. That I am, a complete, if you analyze, if all of us analyze ourselves, we realize that, my God, to say I'm a devotee now is like a crime. The great bhaktas have never felt that they are devotees, but we are sure I am a devotee. I am completely surrendered. Here, Rama, ABC of surrender, we haven't started, So therefore, these subtle ones now are more difficult, especially for spiritual seekers of their path. It's better to recognize, look, I am what I am. I know, I say I have surrender. I have 5% surrender, 95% my own will I work. I use God's name whenever I want, when it's convenient. I get attacks of bhakti. Like in Navratri time, I get attacked for bhakti, like, oh, now you're Devi. After Navratri is over, Devi's photo also goes into the, wherever it is supposed to go, and I will remain what I am. And after some time, I'll take out Krishna, and then Krishna, and then put Krishna back again wherever he belongs to. So if I understand this, I'm better off. Instead of me fooling myself. So ahankara, what does it doesn't fool anyone. Actually, it only fools itself. It goes, I'm telling you, this is a thing I keep repeating often. We are too smart for our own good. Please remember this. All of us, we're all just too smart for our own good. So if this smartness gets out, and we just become a little like grounded and all that, then we understand, oh, Mr. Ahankara, yes, I'm on you. I I have understood how you function. And so, yes, we can conquer Rakta Bija. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Samyama. Another question from the audience. What daily sadhana do you suggest to always remember the presence of Shakti within us so that we no longer feel afraid in life?
See, the very, very grosser form of sadhana, if I have to say, is like you chant Hanuman Chalisa every day. Bhuta pisacha nikata nahi ave Mahavir. But I think consider it that is a pretty gross one. This is very good for kids. Start the kids on that. Okay. So every day, it's not that you don't chant Hanuman Chalisa. Please don't get me wrong. So you please chant Hanuman Chalisa or whatever else that is there for you. So that is fine. But to be able to get out of fear, actually, we have to understand the basis of all the fears that we have and the anxieties and all of that. Again, we can come down to Mr. Ego only. You know, I'm sorry to say Mr. Ego. I don't mean to be any, make it like others. But when Maya, we say Miss Maya, let's call ego Mr. Ego. So it sort of equalizes. Now, both are same anyway. It doesn't matter, So what happens is that see, what is it we are actually scared of? We are scared of losing our identity, whatever form it is. Like I'm a loving spouse or whatever, any, it doesn't matter what it is. There's some identity which you are scared of losing. So when we know that this identity is anyway changing, it's there now, it's not there the next minute and all that, you will not be so scared of losing that identity because we are losing it anyway all the time. So why are we holding on to any of that? So okay, that even if it seems subtle and all that, I believe facing fear is the best way to get rid of fear. Most of the fears are because of the unknown, because of lack of vichar, because of lack of real thinking itself on what exactly am I scared of, what am exactly this is. So just face it. What worse can happen? This is a very common story. I'm sure all of you will have heard it, but still, I'll just remind you. There's this husband and wife, and the wife, a typical, maybe some 50 years back. So the newly married. So the husband was quite okay. So once when the mother came to the house of this girl and said, "How's the husband treating you?" So he says, "He's fine otherwise, but every once in a while he says, you better do this or else." And he hangs this or else. And she says, "I get so scared that I do whatever he says." So the mother is an experienced woman. Nah? So she says, "I'll tell you something, you do this and you won't have this problem anymore." So next time, coached by the mother, when the husband comes home and says, "Look, in half an hour's time, 4 of my friends are coming home for dinner. You better make everything ready or else." And he left it hanging. He thought, oh, she'll say, "Okay, yes, I'm going to do it. Don't worry." Now she's coached by the mother. No? So she puts her hand on her waist and she says, "Or else what?" And immediately he said, "Or else I will make the food." Simple, So most of the time, we just don't want to face what is going to happen, or else what? So I always say, we're a very practical thing. Think of the worst case scenario and face that. My children will not study. Okay, fine. Are you all Indian parents are completely psyched by this thought? That they will not study and they will not, we're crazy. And that too, we all want everyone. Maths and science, he won't get good marks. God alone knows, even when you go to America, that obsession doesn't go. So anyway, your maths and science, he must get good marks. And if he doesn't get good, what will happen? Okay, fine. Now go to worst case scenario. What will happen? They won't get a good job, IT job or whatever, XYZ and all that. So, okay, then what will happen? Oh, they will, become like one of the others. Then you have a typical scene of a typical child who doesn't have jobs and how they struggle and all of that. Okay, fine. So what will happen? Then this will happen. So what will happen? Go to the worst case scenario. Go to the absolute. And when you face that now, the rest of it will seem quite okay. It's okay. And the worst thing is we will die, right? Nothing worse can happen than dying. Do you agree with me? So if I have faced that now, everything in between is okay. You understand? Anyway, I'm going to die. And that's a fact of life. Is it true or not? So go to the worst case scenario, face it. In the mind also just say, okay, fine, do your worst and let me see what it can be. And then it's okay, that's okay. If you can just do that, then the in-between thing that seems to hang on you and seems to all of us, like, it's sort of people whom we are attached to can really make us scared. They are the ones who can make us maximum scared because we are maximum attached there. So we don't want anything to change there and all. So worst comes to worst, what will happen? You understand? So this is one way of facing fear. There is a book that is there of mine, which is called Facing Fear. Please get a hold of it. I've given a lot of ways in which you can face fear over there. Okay. And basically invoke the Shakti. We, all of us, have so many different powers. I mean, Shakti is not one power. That's why in the Sri Yantra or the Sri Vidya Upasana or the Sri Chakra that they have so many Shaktis that they talk of. The Matrukas are there and this, I don't know how many, infinite Shaktis are there. So we all have these infinite Shaktis. Just you take our mental power. We have so many mental powers. Power of observation and power of creativity and power of, innovative thinking and power of, presence of mind and innumerable such powers we have in ourselves, right? So just invoke all these powers and I'm telling you, life becomes much easier. Yes.
Thank you, Amma. One other question. How can we keep our minds to move away from the many forms, say Lord Shiva or Lord Krishna or Devi, to the truth alone without form or name? Is there a thought that can help us move away from all the many forms to the formless?
As Hindus, one of the things that we should start with is this many form we have to understand is one God. I keep saying this, that we Hindus will say Ishwar and Allah is one. But Krishna and Shiva is not one in our mind. No, that is a crazy thing, I mean, come on. Ishwar and Allah is one, huh? Imagine that. And we fight for it also. It's a fact is that it's a one only. There's no two gods, fine, one thing. We even say that there is one God, but we don't believe in our hearts there is one God. So let's start with saying that there's one God and really believe. So for this, one of the things that I would like you to do, all of you, I'm sure in everyone's home, there is one altar, right? We have an altar. And our altar is a museum of gods. Is it true or not? Everyone's altar. It's a nice museum. We have there's no even hand space, leg space for anyone to move around. Because anywhere you've gone and everywhere you've just brought one more. And nicely you've made the whole thing like really very this. Now, the first thing I would want you all to do as an exercise is just sit one day alone in front of that whole altar and decide who is your Ishtadeva. It doesn't matter who it is because God is one. Okay. So let us say you say Shiva is your Ishtadeva. Okay, fine. Wonderful. So what should you do? Then you say every other form, whether it is Krishna or Ganesha, don't call Ganesha son of Shiva. Okay, please. You have to stop that. Then what you have to do? Ganesha is a what? Shiva is a form of Ganesha. I mean, Shiva is my Ishta, so Ganesha is a form of Shiva. Devi is a form of Shiva. Everything is a form of Shiva. So you get up don't get up till you find everyone is one. Okay? Is it okay? Because what happens is now we start only with many. And now we want to root the truth which is beyond. Hare Rama, first make all into one. Then we'll go beyond that one. Okay? Can we start with that? Say one, there is one God. We'll say one God with many names, one God with many names. But when we go to the temple and Ganesha is there and by mistake you bypass Ganesha and you go to that, you'll go home saying, hey, I did not pray to Ganesha, some problem will happen. I prayed to Shiva, but I didn't pray to Ganesha, he's going to create problem. No, what do you mean? You think these two guys are different or what? You get the point. Why is this difference? Sarvadeva namaskaram keshavam prati gacchati. Every time I put my foot down, my head down, I bow to God, full stop. in whatever form it is, whichever way it is, I am bowing to God and God. Jya sthali manajaya maze, tyatya sthali nija rupa tuze. Meethe vito mastak jya thikane, tete sthale sadguru payado. Meaning, wherever I put my head or whenever I do namaskar to that same one God. When you come to that one God, automatically you have transcended many, many forms of God and come to one truth. Then to go to see, one is called Brahman, which is Nirguna Nirakara. And then there is Ishvara, who is what? Nirakara. And because Ishvara as Ishvara has no form. Okay. He's the totality of everything. Okay. So Brahman is beyond all this. He is nameless, formless, qualityless also. Whereas Ishvara is Saguna, but Nirakara. Is it okay? But that same Saguna and Nirakara Ishvara takes what? Akara as Shiva, Vishnu, etc., etc. So what should we do? From Saguna Sakara, we go to what? Saguna Nirakara. Okay, get this thing. From Saguna Sakara. Saguna Sakara means what? Like a Shiva with a, Ganga on the top. And this. From that, we go to Ishvara, who is Sarvagnya, Sarvashaktiman, Anantakoti, Brahmanda Nayaka, all strength, all knowledge, all this, but no form. So he's got Saguna Nirakara. Okay. Saguna Sakar to Saguna Nirakara. And from Saguna Nirakara, you will go to what? Nirguna Nirakara Brahma. Is it okay? So first, all the Devi Devatas form as one Ishvara. Okay. Then that one Ishvara as the Saguna Nirakara Ishvara. And then from Saguna Nirakara Ishvara to Nirguna Nirakara Ishvara. Brahman. That is the way to do it. Okay.
Thank you, Amma. Last question. There are more questions, but we will
Oh.
one more last question today. So one person is asking, we have regrets of the past and we have anxieties of the future. It is said, do your best and leave the rest. But how do we really practice that? Can Amma give us some ideas on
that? Right. First of all, do your best. Most of us don't do our best, and therefore there are regrets. We have, there is always a thing that I can make it more perfect, anything that you do. I mean, that is also always there, that, you've done this and you know that when you look back on it and you say, oh, I could have done this a little better, that is possible, that is okay. But when you actually put your heart and soul and commitment towards anything, then the thing itself has the doing of the thing has a lot of joy. The joy that we get in this world, if it depends only on that result that we get afterwards, it's a little disappointing, and you will have lots of other problems actually. So there are three types of results of actions. One is a result that you get as you do the action. Now, this is a very, very important result. Like now, for example, I am speaking to all of you and you are listening. I hope so. So you're all listening to me and you're either enjoying or suffering. Now, if you're suffering, I know you'll simply just block out. That's so easy right now. It's such a wonderful thing right now that, if you're actually in my presence, actually sitting over there, and if supposing you're suffering, you can't do anything. So the advantage of this type of a session is that you can just block me. How beautiful, wonderful, you can just this. But if you're enjoying now, this result that you're getting as you're doing the action is completely, totally, absolutely in your hand, right? No one can take it away. It's a cash in hand. Yeah. The other result that you get as a result, when it comes back to you in some form or the other, that is not in your hand. So when you're doing your best, you are getting that result all the time. You understand? You're enjoying it. You are getting that first result. So we never work for bonus. We work for the pay. Is it true or not? You work for the pay and the bonus comes. So the doing of the action as you're doing, that joy that you get is the pay you're getting. Straight away, it is not afterwards. It's right when you're, so when you are doing it and enjoying it and fully committed to it and all of that, then when you get the bonus, you say, wow. You don't get the bonus, you say, okay. You understand that? So when that is there, then there is not much sense of regret. So I enjoyed, I did my best. It was this and all that. Then what happened? Oh, it didn't happen that way. Or I didn't, this happened. Okay, fine. I'll take that result as it is. So the prasada buddhi, that he will do the best. And when I get it, it will be prasada. All these things seem to help. But then at the time of doing, we have to be a little careful. So when the doing our best, enjoy that doing so much that when the result comes, you say, oh, wonderful, great.
Thank you, Amma. Thank you so much again for joining us, and thank you for your wonderful success.
It's such a nice thing to see all of you over here, because I know some of you, I don't know some of you, but please convey my Hari Om to everyone over there. And I always remember that retreat, Devi retreat, that I had with you all when I was in the US. Wonderful. Hari Om, and please be safe. Take care of yourselves, and I will pray for you, and you pray for everyone else. Hari Om and Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Swamini Amma. We will now conclude this evening's program with Arati. So I would like to request Mukta ji and Vijay ji to come and perform the Arati, and please join us for that. They will be joining us along with Sudarshan and Mahima. Thank you. Hari Om.
जग जननी जय जय, माँ जग जननी जय जय, जग जननी जय जय, माँ जग जननी जय जय, भयहरिणी भवतारिणी भवभामिनी जय जय, माँ जग जननी जय जय, तू ही सतचित सुखमय शुद्ध ब्रह्म रूपा, सत्य सनातन सुंदर कर शिव सुर भूपा, माँ जग जननी जय जय, अविकारी अगहारी अकल कलाधारी, करता विधि भरता हरि, हर संहरकारी, दश विद्या नव दुर्गा नाना शस्त्र करा, अष्ट मातृका योगिनी नव नव रूप धरा, माँ जग जननी जय जय, जग जननी जय जय, माँ जग जननी जय जय, भयहरिणी भवतारिणी भवभामिनी जय जय, माँ जग जननी जय जय, माँ जग जननी जय जय, माँ जग जननी जय जय। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की, आरती सद्गुरु की, चरणों में उनके शांति समाये, शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए, पाप ताप संताप तापहरण की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया, धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया। शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। सिद्ध बारिकी तपोभूमि में, नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे। भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।
Hari Om. Thank you, Swamini Amma, again for joining us. And thank you to all the retreat participants for joining us this evening. So the Arati concludes our program for today. We will see you again tomorrow at 6:50 p.m. for Lalita Sahasranamam. Thank you. Hari Om.